Ethan Cole gripped the control stick tightly as his ship, the Starward, weaved through the asteroid belt. Sparks flew from the hull as rocks scraped dangerously close. Space was supposed to be silent and empty, but this belt seemed alive, shifting and unpredictable. Ethan's eyes were sharp, scanning the radar, calculating each move with precision. He had flown through countless asteroid fields before, but something about this one made his stomach twist. Suddenly, a faint signal flashed on the scanner. It was weak, fragmented, almost lost among the interference from the moving rocks. Ethan leaned forward, squinting. It wasn't a distress signal he had seen before. It was different, irregular almost. Human. He frowned. The ship's AI, LyraNet, beeped softly. Captain, signal detected. Source appears humanoid. Life signs stable but weak, the AI reported. Its voice was calm, almost soothing. Ethan's heart skipped. Life in this part of space was rare, and humanoid life rarer still. He hesitated for only a moment before decision settled in his mind. Set a course, LyraNet. We're going to check it out. The Starward angled sharply, engines straining as it dove deeper into the belt. Debris flew past, each rock a potential killer. Ethan's hands moved in rhythm with the ship's controls, each motion precise and practiced. He had risked his life countless times for research missions for survival, but this felt different. There was an urgency he couldn't explain. Through the haze of drifting asteroids, he saw her. She clung to the wreckage of a small spacecraft, twisting and spinning as it teetered on the edge of destruction. Her skin shimmered slightly under the dim light of the distant sun, a color he couldn't quite name, like silver with a hint of blue. Her eyes glowed faintly, large and expressive, and they locked onto him for just a second before panic pulled her gaze back to the incoming debris. Ethan swallowed hard. He had seen humans trapped in dangerous situations, even alien species during exploratory missions, but something about her made him move faster. Instinctively, he pushed the ship forward, weaving between rocks with a precision that bordered on recklessness. "Hold on, I'm coming," he shouted, though he doubted she could hear him through the void. The ship rocked violently as a larger asteroid tore past, clipping one of the stabilizers. Sparks and alarms erupted, but Ethan didn't slow. He adjusted the thrusters, narrowly avoiding a second, larger rock. Every move was a risk, but he couldn't let her die. Not when she was right there, barely holding on to life. Finally, he reached her. The wreckage was spinning faster now, thrusters damaged beyond control. Ethan extended the ship's mechanical arm, carefully maneuvering it toward her. She reached out instinctively, her fingers brushing the metal clamp. Then with a sudden jerk, the wreckage spun violently. Ethan's heart jumped and he pushed every ounce of skill he had into stabilizing the arm. Almost there. "Steady, got you," he muttered. Her hand clasped his ship's arm just as another chunk of debris smashed past, narrowly missing them both. The mechanical arm tightened around her, pulling her safely aboard the Starward. Ethan exhaled in relief as the door sealed behind her. The interior lights of the ship revealed her fully. She was slender, fragile-looking, but her eyes held something far older than her appearance suggested. Even injured and terrified, there was intelligence, curiosity, and fear mingled in a way that made Ethan pause. "You're safe now," he said, voice steadier than he felt. He stepped closer, careful not to startle her. "I'm Ethan Cole. You're on my ship." She blinked at him, her glowing eyes wide, as if trying to understand his words. Then she whispered something in a language he couldn't recognize. It was soft, almost musical, and it lingered in the air. Ethan tilted his head, puzzled. "I don't understand," he admitted, frowning. She repeated it, this time a little louder, urgency creeping into her voice. He realized she was trying to tell him something important, but the words were alien to him. LyraNet's voice cut in gently. "Captain, her life signs are stabilizing, but remain weak. Recommend immediate medical attention and rest." Ethan nodded. "Understood." He guided her toward the med bay. She stumbled, and he caught her arm lightly, careful to be supportive, not imposing. Her skin felt strange under his touch, smooth and cool. She shivered slightly, and he handed her a blanket. She accepted it hesitantly, eyes never leaving his face. As she lay on the med bed, Ethan ran diagnostics on the ship's sensors. The wreckage outside had been destroyed, and whatever had attacked her craft was gone for now, but the data was concerning. Whoever or whatever had targeted her was precise, calculated, and powerful. "What were you running from?" he asked, almost to himself. He glanced back at her. She hadn't spoken again, but her eyes followed him, alert and cautious. LyraNet's sensors beeped again. "Captain, she is not responding to verbal communication. Attempting to analyze neural patterns, Ethan paced slowly. He couldn't just wait. Whatever threat she had encountered, it was likely still out there, somewhere in the belt, waiting. But for now, he had done what he could. He had saved her. That was enough. For now. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's engines and the occasional beep from the monitors. Ethan studied her, noticing the way her breathing gradually evened out, the slight rise and fall of her chest. She was exhausted, yet she didn't sleep. Instead, her glowing eyes watched him with a quiet intensity that unnerved him slightly. Finally, she spoke again. This time, a single word, broken and halting but closer to a name. Lyra. Ethan smiled faintly. Lyra? That's a good name. He realized it wasn't just a name, there was meaning in it, something personal. I'm glad you're here, Lyra. Her lips moved slightly, forming a sound that almost echoed his own voice. She seemed to understand. Then, just as quickly, she looked away, tense again as if remembering something dangerous. Ethan frowned. What happened to you out there? He asked softly, more to himself than expecting an answer. She didn't respond. Instead, she closed her eyes briefly, resting, her fingers clutching the blanket tightly. Ethan wandered to the observation deck, gazing at the stars beyond the hull. The asteroid belt stretched endlessly, a jagged river of rock and danger. He thought about the risk he had taken, the calculations he had made in seconds to reach her. Most captains would never have dared. Most humans would have stayed in the safety of the starward and watched from a distance, but he couldn't. Something about her had demanded action. Something about her had sparked that instinct to save. A soft alarm chimed, bringing him back to the present. Lyra Nett's voice was calm but firm. Captain, external sensors detect an unidentified ship approaching. Signature matches known hostile fleet patterns. Distance 5,000 kilometers and closing. Ethan's eyes narrowed. We're not done yet, are we? He muttered. He felt a surge of determination. Whoever had sent those bounty hunters, if that's what they were, was still following her. And he would not let them take her. Not if he could prevent it. He returned to the med bay, placing a reassuring hand on Lyra's shoulder. She flinched slightly but didn't pull away. Her eyes were wide, shining with an emotion he couldn't name. Gratitude? Fear? Trust? Perhaps a mix of all three. We'll handle it, he said quietly. I promise you're safe with me. For the first time, she seemed to relax slightly, her glowing eyes softening as she met his gaze. And in that moment, Ethan understood something profound. This was not just a rescue. This was the beginning of something larger. An alliance between two very different beings brought together by courage, choice, and the simple act of saving a life. Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the dangers of the asteroid belt. But inside the starward, a fragile new trust had formed, one that might just change both their lives forever. And for Ethan Cole, the human who had risked everything, that realization brought a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Ethan watched Lyra as she rested under the soft glow of the medbay lights. She hadn't spoken much since he rescued her, but now she stirred slightly, blinking up at him with her glowing eyes. Her gaze was cautious but curious, as if trying to read him. Ethan felt a strange mix of tension and hope. She was fragile, yes, but there was intelligence in her eyes, something alert and calculating. He pulled up a chair and sat beside her. You've been through a lot, he said gently. I need to understand what's happening. Why were they chasing you? Lyra hesitated, fingers clutching the blanket. Then she spoke in halting words, soft and musical, struggling with his language. My home. Under threat. They want knowledge. Energy. Ethan frowned, leaning closer. Energy? Knowledge? Who wants you? Who sent those ships? Her eyes flickered nervously toward the viewport. Ethan followed her gaze and saw nothing yet, only the endless stars and drifting asteroids. She swallowed and tried again. Invaders. Strong, cruel, will destroy. He nodded, understanding the gravity even without all the details. This wasn't just a random attack. Whoever was after her wasn't petty. They were dangerous, organized, and relentless. Ethan's mind raced, thinking of their options. Running wouldn't work. They had to find a safe path, and quickly. Do you know where your people are? Your planet? He asked carefully. Lyra nodded slowly, her hands trembling. Yes, but danger, too close. Ethan thought for a moment. We need to get you somewhere safe. Somewhere you can contact your people without being tracked. I have a few ideas. He tapped the console, scanning nearby star systems for secure routes. We can use this ship's stealth mode to evade sensors, but it won't last forever. They're likely already scanning nearby sectors for you. Lyra's eyes widened, a hint of fear mingled with trust. She didn't speak, but her body relaxed just enough to show she believed him. Ethan exhaled. She was relying on him, and he had no intention of letting her down. As he plotted a course, Lyra sat up slowly. Her movements were careful, almost cautious. "Why, help?" she asked, her voice small. "Humans. Risk life. Why?" Ethan shrugged, trying to appear casual. "Sometimes it's just the right thing to do," he said. "You were in danger. I couldn't leave you there." Lyra tilted her head, studying him as if weighing the truth in his words. Then she spoke again, a whisper this time. "Humans. Different. Brave." Ethan felt a strange warmth at her words. Brave. That was not a word many had used for him recently. He smiled faintly, then focused back on the navigation console. He needed to keep them alive. Hours passed as the Starward glided through the asteroid belt in stealth mode. Lyra remained quiet mostly, though she occasionally studied the ship's controls and displays. Ethan noticed her curiosity and intelligence. She was learning quickly, understanding the technology with minimal explanation. It amazed him. Finally, he broke the silence. "Lyra, I need to know more about your people. How big is this threat? What happens if they find you?" Lyra hesitated. Then she said slowly, each word deliberate. "My people. Aelorians, peaceful. Advanced, but energy source. Secret, if stolen. Destroy everything." Ethan leaned back, trying to process. A powerful energy source coveted by cruel invaders. That explained the bounty hunters. And now it explained why she was running, why she had risked everything in the wreckage he had found. "We'll protect it," he said firmly, "and protect you." She studied him for a long moment, then finally spoke, almost a whisper. "Why care?" Ethan shrugged again, smiling faintly. "Because some things matter more than safety or rules. Life, trust, courage. And right now you need both." She blinked, her glowing eyes softening. It wasn't much, but it was enough. She nodded slowly, and Ethan felt the tiniest spark of hope. They were beginning to understand each other. The calm didn't last long. Lyranet's alert beeped sharply. Ethan's stomach sank. "Report," he demanded. "Captain, multiple hostile ships detected approaching the asteroid belt. Scanners indicate armed vessels matching the attacker's signature. Estimated time to interception, 20 minutes, Lyranet responded. Ethan's jaw tightened. "They tracked her," he muttered. He moved to the control panel, fingers flying over switches and keys. "We're not running. We're not hiding. We're going to make them regret chasing us." Lyra watched silently, her glowing eyes wide. She didn't speak, but Ethan could sense her fear. He turned toward her briefly. "Stay here, keep calm. Trust me." The ships appeared suddenly, their dark silhouettes casting ominous shadows on the belt. Ethan adjusted the shields, routing power to engines and weapons. The Starward shuddered as energy flowed through the systems, a heartbeat of technology ready for battle. The first enemy ship fired. A green beam cut through the darkness, striking a nearby asteroid and sending debris flying. Ethan maneuvered sharply, twisting the Starward around the rocks, using the asteroid field as cover. He could hear Lyra gasp softly behind him. "Steady, steady," he muttered, focusing entirely on the controls. Every second counted. Every movement could mean life or death. The enemy ships pursued relentlessly, but Ethan used the belt to his advantage. He ducked and rolled the Starward, dodging attacks, leading them into collisions with large asteroids. The strategy worked, slowing their pursuit. Lyra finally spoke, her voice stronger this time. "Human, clever," Ethan smirked briefly. "Thanks. It helps to be in the right place at the right time." He glanced at her, noticing a faint smile tugging at her lips. For a moment the tension eased, but it wasn't over. Another enemy ship broke through the obstacles, closing in fast. Ethan prepared the ship's defenses, ready to retaliate. He glanced at Lyra. "Get ready. Things might get rough." She nodded, gripping the blanket tightly. Then, unexpectedly, she reached out toward the control panel. Ethan froze. "What are you doing? Help?" "Protect," she whispered. Ethan's eyes widened. She had understood the controls, despite barely knowing the ship. He guided her hand, showing her how to redirect power to shields. Together they adjusted energy flow, the ship's systems responding smoothly. "Good work," Ethan said, quietly impressed. "You're learning fast." Lyra's eyes gleamed, a mix of pride and determination. "Must survive. Protect people." Ethan nodded, understanding her completely. "We will," he said. And in that moment, it wasn't just a promise to her, it was a promise to himself as well. The enemy ship fired again, but this time the shield held. Ethan took advantage of the opening, blasting a nearby asteroid into the enemy's path. The ship spun violently, engines sparking, forced to retreat. Lyra let out a quiet laugh, almost disbelieving. "Human, amazing," Ethan chuckled, though he didn't take his eyes off the sensors. "You're not bad yourself." As the last of the pursuing ships retreated, Ethan exhaled deeply. The immediate danger had passed, but he knew it wouldn't be long before they found them again. They needed a plan, a way to get Lyra to safety. Lyra settled back onto the medbed, exhausted but alert. "Thank you, human," she whispered. "Life saved." Ethan smiled faintly. "You're welcome. And I'm not done yet. We're going to get you home safely." She studied him for a long moment, then whispered something he almost didn't catch. "Different. Humans. Worthy." Ethan's chest tightened. She had seen something in humans that others might not. Courage, ingenuity, compassion. And maybe. Hours passed as they traveled further from the belt, the stars stretching endlessly around them. Lyra remained quiet, occasionally speaking a word or two to Ethan, enough to reveal fragments of her story and the threat chasing her. Ethan listened, learning, preparing. The bond between them grew. Not of words alone, but of shared danger, trust, and understanding. For the first time, Ethan realized that saving her was not just an act of courage. It was the beginning of a partnership that could change everything. Not just for them, but for the galaxy. And as Lyra rested, finally closing her eyes, Ethan set a new course, determined to protect her and her people no matter the cost. The Starward glided silently through the deep expanse of space, its hull still humming from the energy strain of the previous chase. Ethan Cole leaned over the navigation console, eyes scanning the star charts, plotting a path toward Lyra's homeworld. He knew it wasn't safe to rush, not with the enemy still somewhere in the sector, but every second they waited increased the danger. Lyra sat nearby, her glowing eyes fixed on the controls she had begun to understand. She had insisted on helping despite Ethan's initial protests. At first it was only small tasks, diverting power to shields, rerouting energy through secondary circuits. But now she was confidently assisting him with navigation adjustments, anticipating threats before they appeared. Her fingers moved with precision almost instinctively. "Good," Ethan said quietly, glancing at her. "You've picked this up faster than I expected." She tilted her head, blinking up at him. "Must help. Protect people." "Energy," she replied softly. Ethan nodded. He understood. It wasn't just about her life anymore. It was about the lives of countless innocents on her planet. If the enemy succeeded, devastation would follow. "We'll get there, Lyra. We'll make sure they don't harm your world." The journey was tense but uneventful for a while. Ethan engaged stealth mode, shutting down non-essential systems and cloaking the ship's energy signature. Lyra sat close by, watching the stars drift past. She finally spoke, hesitating before forming the words carefully. "Human, you trust?" Ethan glanced at her. "I do. And I hope you trust me too." Her fingers traced the edge of the console as she considered this. "Different. Humans. Strong. Clever. Brave." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Not like others. Fear. Harm." Ethan's chest warmed at her words. "Thanks, Lyra. That means a lot." He returned to the controls, but his mind lingered on her observation. Humans were often underestimated by others, even by advanced alien civilizations. And yet here she was, recognizing what he had always known, that courage, ingenuity, and determination could make a difference, no matter the odds. Suddenly the sensors beeped sharply, and Ethan's heart tightened. "Report," he demanded. "Hostile vessel detected," Lyranet replied. "Signature matches previous attackers. Distance 2,000 kilometers and closing." "Speed high," Ethan swore under his breath. The enemies had tracked them again. He activated the defensive systems and prepared the Starward for evasive maneuvers. "Lyra, we need to act fast. Can you help with power rerouting?" She nodded immediately, her eyes bright with focus. Yes, guide. I follow. Ethan directed her hand to the secondary control panel. Together, they rerouted energy to the ship's shields, adjusting them dynamically as he maneuvered through a dense asteroid field. The pursuing vessel fired its weapons, beams of light cutting through space, striking the surrounding rocks. Ethan twisted the starward, ducking behind large asteroids to shield them from the blasts. Lyra's fingers danced over the controls, stabilizing the shields and predicting the enemy's trajectory. Almost hit, she warned just in time as a glancing shot ricocheted off an asteroid and skimmed past their hull. Good call, Ethan said, impressed. He smiled briefly. You're learning fast, Lyra. Her lips curved slightly into a small smile, but her glowing eyes never left the sensors. Must survive. Protect home, she said. Ethan nodded. He understood completely. Survival wasn't just about themselves. It was about the greater mission, the lives depending on them. We will, he promised. The enemy ship continued its pursuit, relentless and calculated. Ethan realized it wasn't just chasing them, it was testing them, trying to force mistakes. He decided to turn the tables. Leading the ship closer to a dense asteroid cluster, he increased speed and made a sudden maneuver, sending a large boulder spinning into the path of the pursuing vessel. The enemy ship collided with the debris, engine sparking, forcing it to retreat momentarily. Lyra's eyes widened and she let out a soft laugh. Human, clever, Ethan smirked, glancing at her. Sometimes brains beat firepower. The brief respite allowed them to adjust course. Ethan brought the starward out of stealth mode but maintained a low energy profile, keeping a balance between speed and detection. Lyra leaned closer, studying the navigation charts. Path? Dangerous. Many. Patrols, Ethan nodded. I know, but we have to risk it. The longer we wait, the closer the enemy gets to your world, and we can't let that happen. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Trust. Human. God. Hust. That trust settled over Ethan like a quiet reassurance. They weren't just allies in survival, they were partners. Both aware of the stakes, both committed to the mission. Hours passed, the starward gliding past uncharted asteroid fields and through stretches of empty space. Ethan and Lyra worked seamlessly together, adjusting shields, monitoring sensors, and planning their approach. The bond between them strengthened with each shared decision, each coordinated maneuver. Then a sharp alarm pierced the silence. Ethan's heart jumped. What now? He muttered. Hostile vessel detected. Closing rapidly, Lyranet reported. They are preparing to attack. Recommend immediate evasive action. Ethan's jaw tightened. He glanced at Lyra, who was already at the controls, fingers ready. This time we fight smart, not just fast, he said. He plotted a risky course through a narrow asteroid corridor, forcing the enemy to follow or lose pursuit. As they entered the corridor, the enemy fired, beams striking the asteroids, causing rocks to shatter and tumble. Ethan twisted the starward deftly, using the collapsing rocks as cover while keeping the shields powered. Lyra anticipated the weak points in the shields, adjusting the energy flow to withstand the impact of debris. Almost, now, she called, guiding Ethan as he executed a sharp spin. The enemy ship collided with a falling asteroid, disabled temporarily. Ethan exhaled, heart pounding. Nice work, Lyra. Couldn't have done it without you. Her glowing eyes softened, a faint smile appearing. Human. Teamwork. Strong. Clever, he chuckled. We make a good team, don't we? Her fingers traced the edge of the console almost thoughtfully. Different. Humans. Worthy. Trust, she said softly. Ethan felt a swell of pride and warmth. She had seen the human qualities he valued most. Courage, intelligence, compassion. And she respected them. The realization strengthened his resolve. They weren't just surviving. They were proving that humans could rise to challenges even in the vast, dangerous galaxy. Finally, the asteroid corridor ended, opening into a wide expanse of empty space. Ethan adjusted course toward a distant star system, closer to Lyra's homeworld but still hidden from enemy detection. Lyra sat back, exhausted but alert, her glowing eyes following the stars. Rest now, Ethan said gently. We've handled the immediate threat, but we need energy and focus for what's next. Lyra nodded, closing her eyes briefly. Trust, human, safe, help, my people. Ethan watched her, feeling the weight of responsibility and the bond forming between them. She wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a partner, a friend, someone whose life depended on him and whose trust he would not betray. As the Starward continued its silent glide, Ethan prepared for the challenges ahead. Lyra's story was only partially revealed, and the threats were far from over. But together they had already proven they could face danger, think creatively, and survive against the odds. And in that quiet moment, between the stars and the endless possibilities of space, Ethan understood something profound. Courage and ingenuity, combined with trust and teamwork, could change everything, not just for themselves, but for the galaxy. Lyra opened her eyes, looking at him. Human, different. Good, she said softly. Ethan smiled faintly. And you're amazing, Lyra. Together we'll finish this mission. She nodded, her eyes gleaming with determination. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe that survival wasn't just possible, it was achievable. And with Ethan by her side, perhaps even the impossible could be overcome. The Starward moved forward, a small but resilient force in the vastness of space, carrying two determined beings united by courage, trust, and a shared mission that would shape the fate of worlds. The Starward glided through the silent void, the stars stretching endlessly on either side. Ethan Cole kept his eyes on the navigation panel, plotting the final approach to Lyra's homeworld. The closer they got, the stronger the energy readings became. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Lyra's people depended on them, and the enemy was still out there somewhere waiting. Lyra sat beside him, her glowing eyes fixed on the instruments. She had grown quiet in the past hours, thoughtful, almost tense. Home, near, she whispered, her voice a mixture of hope and fear. Danger, strong, must protect. Ethan nodded, understanding her completely. We will, Lyra, I promise. No one will hurt your people as long as we can stop them. The planet appeared on the main screen, a jewel of blue and green surrounded by wisps of clouds and faint rings. Ethan felt a moment of awe, but there was no time to linger. The sensors picked up movement. Enemy ships, fast and numerous, closing in on the planet's orbit. The attackers had anticipated their arrival. Enemy fleet approaching, Lyra warned. They will attempt to strike the surface within minutes. Recommend immediate defensive action. Ethan's jaw tightened. We can't let them reach the planet. We have to intercept them before they get that close. Prepare weapon systems and shields. Lyra leaned over the console, her fingers already moving instinctively. Help, guide, human, she said. Together. Strong? Ethan smiled faintly. Together. They had survived chases through asteroid fields, outsmarted a relentless enemy, and now the final challenge awaited. All right, he said. Let's save your world. The first wave of enemy ships entered the planet's orbit, sleek and armed with deadly weapons. Ethan maneuvered the Starward directly toward them, using the ship's agility to dodge incoming fire while drawing them away from the planet. Lyra assisted, calculating trajectories, rerouting power to shields, and adjusting weapon targeting. Almost hit, she warned as a beam streaked past, grazing the hull. Good call, Ethan replied, twisting the ship to avoid the blast. Keep it up, Lyra, we're not done yet. Together they worked in perfect sync. Ethan piloted the ship, dodging enemy fire and weaving through debris from destroyed satellites and orbiting asteroids. Lyra managed the energy distribution, enhancing the shields at critical moments, predicting weak points, and guiding the ship's counterattacks. Each of them relied on the other completely, a seamless team forged through danger and trust. One of the enemy ships broke formation, attempting to flank them. Ethan reacted instantly, spinning the Starward around a small moon, creating an obstacle that forced the enemy into a collision course with debris. Lyra called out instructions, her voice calm but urgent. Left, now. Power, shields! The enemy ship collided with the debris, disabled, and tumbled into the void. Ethan exhaled sharply, the tension easing slightly. Lyra glanced at him, a small smile appearing. Human, clever, she said. He grinned faintly. Couldn't have done it without you. The remaining enemy ships regrouped, closing in for another strike. Ethan adjusted course toward the planet's defense grid, hoping to buy them time. Lyra pointed at the display. Energy. Core. Weak point. Can stop. Fleet. Ethan's eyes widened. Show me, he said. Together they devised a plan. Lyra explained the energy patterns of the enemy ships, revealing how to overload their power sources with precise targeting. Ethan calculated the maneuvering, timing, and risk. "We can do this," he said, determination in his voice. "Follow my lead, Lyra." Together, they approached the enemy fleet, hearts pounding. Ethan piloted the Starward into a central position, drawing attention while Lyra synchronized the energy pulses to destabilize the enemy ship's cores. "Now!" Ethan shouted. Lyra triggered the sequence. A surge of energy shot from the Starward, hitting the enemy ships at their weak points. One by one they faltered, engines sparking, weapons failing. The enemy fleet struggled to maintain formation, then scattered in disarray, retreating from the planet's orbit. Ethan exhaled, feeling a rush of relief. Lyra let out a soft laugh, her glowing eyes bright with triumph. "Human, amazing," she said. Ethan smiled, shaking his head. "We make a good team, don't we?" She nodded, a small, genuine smile forming. "Together. Strong, clever, brave." The planet below them was safe, the threat neutralized for now. Ethan adjusted course to enter a stable orbit, allowing the planetary defense forces to assess the situation. Lyra sat back, exhausted but alert, her eyes scanning the world below. "They safe?" she asked softly. "They're safe," Ethan assured her. "Because of us." "And because of you," she looked at him, eyes wide. "You risk life. Human. Why?" Ethan shrugged, smiling faintly. "Because it was the right thing to do. Because some things are worth risking everything for. And because I couldn't let anyone hurt you or your people." Lyra studied him for a long moment, then whispered, almost shyly. "Different. Human. Worthy. Trust. Hope." Ethan's chest tightened. Her words were more than gratitude. They were respect, understanding, and recognition. She had seen the qualities in humans that many others overlooked. Courage, creativity, determination, and the ability to rise to impossible challenges. Hours passed as the Starward orbited the planet. Ethan and Lyra watched the planetary defense forces mobilize, scanning the skies and strengthening shields. The planet's inhabitants were safe for now, and the immediate threat had been neutralized. Ethan finally allowed himself to relax, though only slightly. He turned to Lyra. "We did it. We saved your people." She looked at him, eyes shining. "Thanks." "Human, life. Changed." Ethan smiled faintly. "You're welcome, Lyra, and remember, this isn't the end. You'll rebuild, your people will thrive, and you'll be safe. We made sure of that together." Lyra nodded slowly. "Together and strong. Different. Good. Humans." For the first time, Ethan realized the true meaning of what they had accomplished. It wasn't just about survival. It wasn't just about defeating an enemy fleet. It was about proving that courage, trust, and teamwork could bridge differences, even across species, and create hope where none existed. The days that followed were quiet, but productive. Ethan helped Lyra coordinate with her people, sharing knowledge of human technology and tactics, while learning more about Elorian culture, science, and values. The planet thrived under careful guidance, and the bond between Ethan and Lyra deepened. They had started as rescuer and rescued, but now they were partners, friends, and equals in purpose. One evening, as the planet glowed beneath them in shades of green and blue, Lyra approached Ethan. Her eyes glimmered softly. "Human," next words. "Changed everything," she said quietly. Ethan looked at her, puzzled. Lyra smiled, a mixture of relief and sincerity. "Trust, hope, courage, humans, strong. You changed everything." Ethan felt a surge of emotion. Her words weren't just about gratitude, they were about recognition, about hope for a future where humans and Elorians could work together. A future built on trust, courage, and the choice to act when it mattered most. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "And you changed me too, Lyra. You showed me what's worth fighting for, and I'll always be here if you need me." Her glowing eyes softened and she nodded. "Together, strong, future, safe." Ethan smiled, looking out at the planet below. The threat was gone, the fleet defeated, and a new bond had formed. He had risked his life, yes, but in doing so, he had discovered something far greater: hope, trust, and the power of courage to change worlds. As the Starward drifted in orbit, Ethan and Lyra looked at the stars together. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, filled with danger and wonder, but also possibility. They had faced the impossible and survived, not by luck alone, but by trusting each other and believing in the strength of human courage and ingenuity. And for Ethan Cole, the human who had risked everything, That was the greatest victory of all.